Are you ready for a fall frenzy of business? There are 11 weeks between now and Thanksgiving in the US. For all my American friends, Canada, I know you celebrated earlier. You can make the adjustment on your own. We've got 11 weeks between now and when historically business slows down a little bit. And I'm not saying there's not business to be done in December. In fact, I would argue it's one of the best months of the year to set up your pipeline. Let's focus on right now. We've got 11 weeks. And a lot of you might be getting the peels from your sunburn from the holiday weekend. You're getting back into the regular schedule of not taking a 3 or 4 day weekend every week. So this time of year to me is an obvious time to recommit to your business. And let's look at this next 11-week stretch here, because I'm a big believer in 90-day time blocks, where every 90 days you should be testing, measuring, committing to an activity for the entire 90 days. This is pretty darn close. So here's what it is. Your fall frenzy plan. Here's the things you want to think about, and I would sit down, write this down, and this is your business plan for the next 90 days. How many days are you going to be working? What days are you working, and is it in your calendar? Because if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. Block these days out. Know what days you're going to be making lead generation calls, follow-up calls, prospecting calls, what days you're taking appointments, what days you're working, what days you're not working. Put everything in your calendar. So determine how many days you're going to work and how many days you're not going to work. I'd argue you want to be working a 5-day-a-week minimum, maybe 5.5 to 6, up until that holiday season. And if you got things you need to take off for, weddings, family events, whatever it is, time block it and put it in your calendar. So when you're on, and when you're off, you're off. That is step 1 to the fall frenzy. Step 2, what are your personal minimum standards? What is the minimum acceptable activity you are going to tolerate a day? And that's got to be on a daily basis and then a weekly basis, because some days you might have to adjust a little bit. You might have longer conversations, so your call count's down, or vice versa. So we want to look at daily and weekly, and what is your minimum acceptable number? For example, the minimum acceptable number is 100 phone calls made a day. The minimum acceptable number is a 2-hour time block where I'm actually making phone calls and lead generating, and no less than 15 conversations a day. These are things you can control. You don't want a business plan objectives and results. You can have objectives you're trying to hit, like a certain amount of listing appointments or just appointments in general that you're looking to set every day. You can't business plan sales. You can business plan income producing activities. Me personally, my minimum acceptable standard is 500 phone calls a week with a goal of setting a minimum of 1 listing appointment per day. That's me. You might be different, but you get the idea. It's got to be specific and measurable, time-based, relevant, and achievable. The SMART goal acronym. Part 3, what is your inbound lead plan and what are your follow-up activities around those? Because a lot of us get inbound leads, and you've got to time block the leads you're working, because if you go from calling a for sale by owner to a past client to an internet lead to an expired listing, you're going to be all over the place. Your head's going to be spinning rather than time blocking. All right, here's my 50 calls in this group. Here's my 50 calls to my database that I've been following up with. These are all follow-up calls. Here's my 10 sphere calls a day. Whatever it is, you want to block those out together, and you want to determine what your inbound lead generation and follow-up plan is. Because we know all the money's in the follow-up, and most agents quit following up after 2 or 3 attempts. The conversion happens at 6+. So how are you time blocking inbound lead flow and follow-up? Part 4, what are your listing generation activities? 68% of sellers list based on proximity, meaning from a referral or from an agent they worked with. And if you're not spending time intentionally looking for listings every week, you're never going to get them. What you focus on expands. This has got to be part of your plan, and you're going to see how this all comes together at the end. And it's a theory that I've lived, worked, and it's documented to get results. I'm going to share it with you at the very end here, so watch the whole thing. What is your listing generation activities? Is it around conversations? It is around time you're spending looking for listings. Whatever it is, make sure it's specific, measurable, time-based, achievable, relevant. You get the idea. So we've got inbound lead generation and follow-up, listing generation, and lastly, what is your sphere business generation plan? How many people are you going to talk to that you know? These could be people you sold a house to, friends, family members, your dog walker, people at your previous job, anyone you know in the area, your kid's little league team, your kid's soccer team, dance class. I don't care. How many conversations are you having about real estate with those people? I'm clear a minimum of 5 a day is what everyone should be targeting. Personally, I target 10. I want to have 10 sphere conversations a day. Now, a sphere conversation, when you call a past client and wish them a happy birthday or a happy 5-year anniversary on their home purchase, that to me is as good as a conversation because you're touching those people with a personalized reach out attempt. So making those calls is going to be productive. That to me is a conversation. That's the one area where you don't have to talk to them to count it as a conversation, in my opinion, and based on my experience selling real estate over the past 2+ decades. So now we've got your time on and time off. So your calendar's set. You have your minimum acceptable number. You've got 3 different lead pillars you're working. Inbound leads and follow-up, listing lead generation, and working your sphere and the people you know and your clients. So you've got this 3 lead pillar system. You're going to do a lot of business if you commit to every one of these things. You just have to follow through and do it. And then lastly, what's your goal and target? How many homes do you want to sell? And how many appointments do you want to set? And how many appointments do you want to go on? Those are the indicators. So during this next 11 weeks, I'm going to sell 1 home a week. I'm going to do 11 sales, right? How many appointments do you need to go on to make that happen? And how many appointments do you need to set to make that happen? Because not every appointment is going to happen. Show rate's a real statistic. Look at what we've just done here in a quick video. We've given you a foolproof, bulletproof business plan to have a frenzy of business in the fall with predictable results based on data, with 3 lead pillars that will generate activity for you: listings, sphere, and your inbound leads that you're working and making sure you're following up with those folks. And you've now got a minimum acceptable standard in your business. You wrote it all down. Next step, you want to tell people about it. Talk to your accountability partner, your mastermind group, team members, team lead, sales manager, whoever. Tell people about the plan, post it up in visual, and this is going to supercharge your business when a lot of agents are already quitting and talking about next year. This is an opportunity. It's going to be a challenging market. We know what's going on with rates and everything else happening with inventory. It doesn't matter. When you invest in your business like this, you're going to sell houses.